For this video, for a 1,000 subscriber special, I'm gonna do a ranking video on every single Battlefront 2 hero. Thought I thought I'd do this just because I've been playing the game for so long, and I have, almost, or maybe by the time I've posted this, 100, HVV videos. But I thought I'd just do this. I thought it'd be fun. I very hard. It was very hard to pick all of the heroes from last to first, but I think it'll be fun. I think I'll have a lot of opinions that not a lot of people will like, but this is all my opinions, so nobody get all hissy pissy over me. But just gonna go ahead and start with number 22 at dead last. For me, would have to be BB9E. Now he's not a bad hero at all. In the right situations, he can be really good. Especially in hero modes, he could be a great complement to any villain, especially with his abilities to help accelerate people's abilities. Like, if I play Boba, I really like having a BB9E because I get more for the hunt and more rocket barrages. But I think every other hero in the game performs way better in any situation than BB9E can. I will say I have come across a handful of really good BB9Es in like HVV. They can be very good, but I think everybody else outclasses him in every single way. For number 22, or sorry, for number 21, I'd have to pick Captain Phasma. She's okay. She's a good hero. Her abilities are pretty good. I think her spike melee ability could have just been her normal melee. I don't think they had to put it as a normal ability. I think it was kind of a waste of a spot. But maybe DICE just couldn't think of abilities for her, and I don't blame them. She didn't really do much in the movies. Her turret is pretty good, but if you're playing Phasma, you're realistically not going to ever move from it, because if you do, your only defense is pretty much gone. And her blaster is really weak, and fighting Phasma isn't all that hard. It's easy to just Anakin pull her away, or Luke force push her away from her turret, or just overall ignore her. If you ignore her, she'll get pissed and she'll try to move away from her turret, because obviously she needs the kill, she needs the XP because she's bloodthirsty, and then boom, she's easy to kill right there. She's really good in trooper modes. I think she's way better in trooper modes for holding down a tight spot that either is an objective or just anywhere around an objective. I think she can be really good, but if you are playing Phasma, you're probably gonna get yelled at for being a Phasma main. I've had that happen to me, even though I've only played one match with her. I was called a Phasma main, but I think I'm just that good with anybody. Number 20, I have BB-8. I would say at this point, all of the heroes are really good. BB-8 is pretty much an improvement in every way compared to BB-9E. Does more damage, has a better twirl attack, meaning the cable spin. I think the cable spin is way better than whatever BB-9E's electric one is. I still don't really ever use him. I would say I use him the same amount that I use BB-9E, which is pretty much none. But if you do have a really good BB-9E on your team, then you'll perform really well. He has really good star cards too, compared to a lot of heroes. His star cards definitely stand out. I think there's a star card that makes him go faster, which is just like cool. I feel like BB-9E could have had that too, but whatever. Number 19, I have Chewbacca. And this kind of pains me to put him this low. I think he's really good, but only in hero modes. He has really good abilities, with one of them being a knockdown and the other one being a stun, which Lightside having any stuns at all seems to be rare, because I think they only have two. They have Chewies and then Landos. And his middle is really good for accurate shots and more damage, and is really good for trooper modes. That's the only thing he's really good at for trooper modes, is his middle ability. But his bowcaster can go through lightsaber blocks, which is really, really strong. But in trooper modes, when you don't have his middle ability active, he is really weak. His blaster is really okay. His blaster is really slow. He has some of the worst health regen, because I don't know why he does. He's a big walking carpet, right? But yeah. Again, his bowcaster is just really slow, so he can be really clunky. He can get hit a lot. He is really big. If I was only ranking heroes based off their HPV or showdown performance, I would rank Chewie a lot higher, but in general performance, I think he really does do he doesn't really perform as well in trooper modes. But yeah. Number 18, I have Lando Calrissian, which Lando's my favorite blaster hero on the light side. I'm a Lando main. But looking at him as a whole and comparing him to like other blaster heroes, he is really weak. His night sniper, it's not really a night sniper, but it's anything but a sniper. It has some of the worst range out of any blaster, and its damage is really meh too. It's only really good at point blank when you like stun an enemy. His shock ability makes his blaster way better, but his shock again is also really easy to dodge. All you have to do is like jump. You just jump and you'll block it. And his smoke is probably the most useless ability in the whole game. I'd argue that. I don't think there's any other ability for heroes that is more useless than his smoke. His smoke is literally, it's BB9E's smoke is way more useful because that actually like hides BB9E, but Lando's just doesn't do that. Um, but his sharp shot makes up for a lot of Lando's flaws, in my opinion. I think it's really strong. It's way better in trooper modes for clearing out just rooms. But he doesn't do bad in hero modes at all. The only reason I put him above Chewie is because he does so much better in trooper modes. He does a little worse in hero compared to Chewie, but I really think just because he does so good in trooper with his sharp shot, I think he is placed a little bit above Chewie just by 1 point. Now, number 17, I have Iden Versio. I think placing her at 17, a lot of people are going to disagree with me. And I can understand that to some extent, but as a whole, she's really good. Her blaster being an upgraded TL50 blaster is really strong, and that secondary fire is almost like too strong for trooper modes, especially for clearing out large enemies. But her shock is one of the best in the game. It's really fast. Her shield is okay. I rarely use it. And her sniper rifle is also just like okay. I never ever use it really. But for me, I don't think she should have been a hero at all. I think she should have just been with the campaign. I think we would have rather had. I think a lot of people could back me up on this, like Dengar or Greedo or any other villain blaster hero from the original trilogy to replace Iden. You know, an actual character with more lore and years of existence than someone just made it for the game. I don't hate her idea, I don't hate her character, but I don't think they should have put her with like an actual stacked character list from the films. Even if they are from the sequels, you know, they're from the films. They're characters that people are more familiar with, that they can connect with. So, but I'm just talking about this ranking is just her as a whole. She's pretty good, but I really use her, so I'd put her at 17 for me. Number 16, we have our first lightsaber hero, and that is Yoda. And it's the Grandmaster himself, of course. He is the most different saber from any other hero, I'd say, besides Grievous. His block is really good, and his force push I'd argue to be the best force push in the game, just because you could collect so much enemies in there. His middle ability is like really broken because you could get out of Vader's choke with that. You could get out of Maul's choke with that, plus healing yourself and teammates around you. His dash is really good. It could go through lightsaber blocks, or just I don't know if that's intentional, but that's kind of broken. It definitely does make him better. Out of like most of the Yodas I've dueled with, especially the white levels, they really rely on this ability to get free hits, and it's always so funny to see because they'll always hold up their block and then they'll just dash in front of me to get that free hit. But that's really just because of how weak he is compared to all other saber heroes. His main attack is really slow and really easy to parry, but Yoda is one of the more fun heroes to play as. So, number 15, I'm going to say Kylo Ren. This was a hard one to rank. He is probably one of the more balanced saber villains, but I have a few issues with him. I think he does way better in hero modes than trooper modes. His force pull is his best ability, in my opinion. I think it could be activated in midair and it's really quick. His force freeze is also good, and it's usually performed after a successful force pull for the free hit, of course, and then usually do frenzy right after that for at least one. But in trooper modes, it could be kind of risky to use freeze because if you use it on a lot of enemies and you want to go for the kill, you'll probably have a lot more troopers who are going to be shooting at you. Um, and again, his frenzy's okay. It leaves you open for a little bit. The final hit on a frenzy is guaranteed, and you can get a fourth frenzy, but it can be a little tricky to pull off. It's like a little trick. I myself have never done it because I really don't play Kylo all that much, but I know you can. It can be done. His ability kit is really good. You can use them all together, but his damage output is really poor. You know, his freeze you have to just be careful with. He's really weak in a lot of situations, but he is fun. I've hit a lot of good clips with him too. So, number 14, I'm gonna go Bosk. Bosk is probably one of the better villain dark side blaster heroes. He's really fun. His blaster isn't great up close, but his sniper rifle mode, which is just you zooming in, is really, really good. It does take time to get used to, because hitting shots with it can be kind of hard at first. Because blasters in this game, they're projectile based, they're not hit scan. So, you kind of have to lead your shots. But once you get that, you're good. Bosk is more of a hero to kind of just sit on a spot or two and hold it. AKA, he does way better in trooper modes. He's really good at, sitting on an objective-based spot or just sitting in a hallway or planting bombs in a hallway and just camping that spot. He's really good at doing that. He's not really good at being like a Maul where he's really aggressive and he's just going kind of crazy. He kind of has to be more stable and he has to be kind of like a turret. He has one of the best ability kits in the whole game. Every single ability is like... I always feel like I'm using all of his abilities at the same time. As soon as I get it, I just use it. Like, his smoke, for example, his Dioxis is super, super good at just keeping an enemy at bay, and every time I have it available, I always just throw it somewhere where I know a lot of enemies will be. His bombs are great for planting on a spawn or objective, as I said. Also really good to, quickly place to finish off a hero like Obi-Wan or Yoda. And his middle ability being the cherry on top, it just does so good with clearing out areas, especially in close and indoors areas. And it just destroys heroes as well. That's kind of why he does so good in HVV, is because of his grenade launcher. And Bosk also has some of the best regen in the whole game. He is a Trandoshan. They're kind of based off the lizard species, which lizards can regrow their limbs. Same with the Trandoshans, they could regrow their limbs, which is really cool. He can't do that in the game. When he dies, he kind of dies, but yeah, safe to say Bosk is really, really strong. I really like him. Number 13, I have Count Dooku. I was teetering on 12 with him, but I think 13 is... I think I like 13. If we were ranking based off dueling, Dooku would be number 1. Actually, number 2 because of a certain someone. Vader, but Dooku's very strong in hero modes. Dooku, like Chewbacca, were designed with hero gameplay in mind. His attack speed is the fastest in the game with duelist active, plus his stamina is insanely good. His lightning stun is really, really good, and is a great way to get a few hits in. And his weakness ability is one of those you always use when available. Like, you use it on somebody, and then once you get it again, you just gotta use it again, because there's no reason to not use it. He's really the only hero in the game with a third dodge, or he is the only hero in the game with a third dodge without requiring a star card, which is great. Now we get to trooper modes. He doesn't really have great crowd control. His lightning is good to take out like 2 or 3 enemies, but that's kind of it. His duelist can be good for taking out a lot of enemies because it gives him damage boost. And he goes a lot quicker. He could one-shot all infantry except heavy. Heavy's a 2-shot. But with that, faster swing speed, it really does just feel like 1. But expect a lot of health loss with that, and in Supremacy or Galactic Assault or even Co-op, Dooku is outclassed in every way, but he's still the best duelist in the game, right? It's just when you have a swarm of clone troopers coming at you, it can be a little intimidating with Dooku, especially. You have to be more strategic with him. Number 12, I have Darth Maul, which it was Darth Maul and Dooku for me that I was like, should I have Dooku at 12? Should I have Maul at 13? But I put Maul at 12 just because I think he does overall better. I would have placed him higher. He is my villain saber main, but he has a lot of issues. He's pretty much a weaker Vader. You know, his choke is a lot weaker, his saber throw is weaker, and he doesn't have a health boost like Vader has, but he does have dashes. Starting with his choke, it's pretty decent. It chokes an enemy and throws him away. It does mediocre damage. I use it either for, just extra damage just to get off, or just an escape. If there's a lot of people on me, I hopefully land a pretty good choke to get, at least more than half of them gone, so I could go off and regen, the very little health that Maul can regen. Um, you know, he's just overall okay. I think it's kind of unfortunate how much he was underutilized in the game and, the creation of the game. Um, you gotta be more careful with Maul, more strategic. A lot of the Separatist heroes you gotta be more thoughtful with. They take a lot more skill to use, you know. A lot of his abilities just leave him very vulnerable. His force choke, he doesn't have a block like Vader does. Same with his lightsaber throw. So, and his choke, he's anchored. He can't move. So, it's kind of annoying that way. You can't really use your choke willy nilly like that. His dashes are pretty good. He's one of these. He's probably the fastest saber hero for the dark side of the game. You get to point A to point B really fast. So I really like Maul. He could have been a lot better. I think he was really bugged at the start of the game. At the start of the game, he couldn't even block, which is quite embarrassing, if you ask me. Number 11, I have Leia Organa. Leia was one of those heroes at launch where she was also like just really bad, but she got buffed. She's way better now. I would say she's the third best blaster hero. Her defender pistol is really good, and her secondary fire, her E11 is, her secondary fire on her defender pistol is really good. Her E11 is a hero melter. That thing will destroy anybody, unless there's a Vader blocking, and she gets a taste of that medicine. But her thermal detonators are good for clearing out a little area or doing some extra damage. Her shield is, in my opinion, her strong suit, because she could for heroes she could heal past their regen. So there's a Luke with 200 HP and he could only regen to like 350 or something. Well, he could go all the way back up to 750. It's super good. It may take a while, but the fact that he can, especially in trooper modes where he has a lot more time to gather that extra health, is very, very strong, and it's very good to have a good Leia on your team. There isn't really much to say about her that's bad. She's definitely like the Phasma of the light side, but just good. Number 10, I have Emperor Palpatine, the Emperor of the Galaxy himself. He's really good in pretty much all game modes. In hero mode, he's great to have on your team. He's definitely one of the most annoying to fight, I think. A good Anakin or Han is a pretty big threat against Palpatine. In turbo modes, I think he does his best. His main attack, of course, is lightning, and he does have two modes. He has a lighter damage for stamina. Like, you could have more stamina, but it does less damage. And that's just by holding one mouse button or one trigger. And then he has a second version where he does more damage, but he drains less stamina, or he drains more stamina, and that's by holding down both. I typically use that one. But you can use both. His Chain Lightning is one of the best abilities in the game for clearing out dozens of troopers. Maybe not dozens, but it damn feels like dozens, because that's a lot of troopers you could get rid of. His stun is probably the best stun on the dark side. It can clear out. It can stun a lot of enemies for a reasonable amount of time. His Dark Aura ability is really good for dealing extra damage. It's also one of those abilities that you kind of like, as soon as it's available, you kind of just always turn it on. Because, why wouldn't you turn it on? Um, the one thing a lot of new players kind of fail to do or take a while to do is his movement. Palpatine's one of those heroes where you have to really learn his movement to be good. You pretty much always have to be jumping to avoid saber hits, even some blaster hits. He can be a little harder for blasters. Um, he kind of has to become a Boba Fett. So, Palpatine's very good. Number 9, I have Finn. Now, some of you guys watching this are probably saying, like, what the hell is Finn doing here, right? But just hear me out. Finn is a hero that does great in both trooper modes and hero modes. I'll talk about his abilities first. Deadeye is one of the best for clearing out lots of enemies. It's pretty much an aimbot. You focus on one enemy, you just delete him, and then you go to another enemy, you delete him, and then there's a star card where each kill increases its time, so you could realistically go forever, which is quite fun. I like doing that, especially in co-op, Agent Class final phase. You go nutty there. You go absolutely berserk there. It's really fun. His rapid fire ability is great for just overall character boost and speed and awareness. It's okay. I use it every now and then. His middle ability is why he's so high. Finn alone is good, right? But in HVV, you really need the support from your other teammates because Finn alone is very easy to take out. But that's where his middle ability comes into play. It gives all nearby teammates, even infantry, extra health, damage reduction, 0 weapon cooldown, and faster ability recharge. That's crazy. I'd argue for this ability to be in the top 3 best in the whole game. A good light side team with a Finn is pretty much unstoppable. Okay. Unstoppable, right? I always think of Finn as like the king of the team. You gotta take him out first to, have a better chance to kill the rest of the team. Safe to say, Finn is one of the more underrated heroes. He's really, really strong. Number 2, Blaster Hero for light side, I'd say. I think there's one more that's just a little better than him, and I think it's pretty easy now to guess who that is. Number 8, I have General Grievous. This was probably the hardest placement on this whole list. Grievous is really good at both trooper and hero modes. He has some of the highest damage in the game with a star card that increases it, but the weakest stamina for a saber hero. You can't really deflect a lot of blaster shots with this guy because you'll get a lot of your health just drained in seconds. You have to play more strategically with them, like all the separatists. You have to use the environment kind of as your block button. You have to move somewhere where it'll give you the best position. And that can change based on the map you're on. I think Camino is probably his best. Felucia's not great. Anything open isn't really great for Grievous. The Separatist Dreadnought is really good for him. His ability is okay. His abilities are okay so far. What did I just say? I had a stroke there. His abilities are okay. His best is his Claw Rush. It's a great way to get a lot of kills, knock down a hero, or even run away, which is something Grievous is known for from, Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars. His Thrust Surge is okay. It's really good for picking off troopers who are, like, alone. Who aren't around, like, 15, 20 other troopers. I'd use it if there's, like, 2 or 3 in a room. I don't know. I hardly use it. But in hero modes, it's especially for dueling, it's insanely easy to parry that. You really have to get a good thrust surge if, your opponent is just dumbfounded or just completely not there. If a Grievous uses it against you and you know how to parry, it's always a free hit or 2. His middle ability is also just okay. It limits your movement and vision, but it's great for blocking attacks and blaster shots. It leaves you open from behind though, and since you're very slow, it's hard to cover all areas. So you kind of only use it for a few seconds at times. It's very situational. Grievous is way better for hero modes. A good Grievous could sometimes be a better Vader. Grievous is that good. One attack that a lot of Grievouses use is a bunny hop. Now I can't do this yet. I'm still practicing with Grievous, but it's very annoying and hard to fight against at times. I can see a lot of the annoyance and the hate of the backlash Grievous gets at times because of just how infuriating he can be. One of the more toxic heroes, but once you get good with Grievous, you can't really say much about that. He is also one of the best star cards in the whole game, being Flesh is Weak. It pretty much gives him more damage reduction for every 10% health missing, which is really strong. A lot of duels have rules about not using Flesh is Weak because of how strong that is, which is like saying, you can use Vader, just you have to be cardless, right? Number 7, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Space Jesus himself. He was one of those heroes for me that I wanted to, put at first, second, or third, or really anywhere in the 10, but I think 7 is a pretty good spot. He definitely has the best stamina in the whole game. Pretty sure that's a fact. It's not even close. He is a defense wall. His force push is the strongest as in, damage and range. I still think Yoda's is better. His mind trick is a must if you're fighting a Dooku or Vader, because Dooku, obviously his lightning stun can completely obliterate you. His weakness could just make you weaker. And then Vader, obviously you don't want to be caught in his choke, so mind trick is great. Go for mind trick, go for defensive rush. You'll be mostly safe from any of their abilities. Speaking of defensive rush, it's great for getting a cheeky hit or clearing out a room full of battle droids. Obi-Wan's pretty good at everything, and to top it off, he has some of the best health regen, if not the best. He also has a card that gives him way better health regen. That's also kind of a rule in some duels for him not to use that card, because it's almost like fighting a Vader, right? I'd argue Obi-Wan is the Vader of the light side, just because of how much a good Obi-Wan takes a lot to kill and a lot of skill to kill. Number 6, this might be one of my more controversial picks, but I have Rey. And a lot of people might be upset at this, but again, I think she's the best duelist on the light side. And she's also my light side saber main. Her dash strike is great for knocking out lots of enemies. You knock them out, you get that hit, and then you get 1 or 2 more hits. It's great. Especially with Insight, you just get more damage in there. Her Insight, again, it's like one of those abilities, once you have it available, you always turn it on. Of course, with all these abilities that you have to turn on if they're available, you have to be around enemies, because, if you're at spawn, you wouldn't use it, because there's nobody there. But her Insight, it grants her more damage and stamina reduction, which, again, always nice to have. And plus, all enemies are visible in a certain area. Mind Trick is really easy to kind of deal with. Like, if you get Mind Trick, it just inverts your controls and make you slower. It's usually when I get Mind Tricked, I just hold my block and just, keep myself safe until it's over. Or Boba Fett, it's probably the easiest to just fly. There's nothing they could do. Where was I? Oh, right. There's a star card which makes Mind Trick, if it's activated on another opponent, it deals more damage if you hit them, which is why I think Mind Trick can be redeemed. I would say it is one of the more useless abilities, but that star card makes up for it. And then she also has a star card that must be on for HV, which gives her a 3rd dodge. And overall, although her character isn't good in the sequels, I think she's damn good in Battlefront 2. She's really good, but she didn't hit top 10. Well, she did hit top 10. She didn't hit top 5. Which top 5, starting off with the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker. Now, if we're talking about launch of the game, Anakin would be number 1. Beating Vader. Just search on YouTube. Anakin at launch Battlefront 2. He was ridiculous. He would one-shot with Retribution, Vader full health, right? But he was fixed. He's very respectable now. He's a really good ability kit. His pole is great, deals lots of damage. His heroic might is great for clearing out lots of troopers and usually used after a pull. Um, his passionate strike is good, definitely his weakest ability, but it's still great because it's a block breaker. You can get a free hit in there usually when an opponent is immobilized. Maybe. Um, he does have a fourth ability, Retribution, which is only acquired by, I think it's dealing damage or being dealt damage. But once you have this ability, it's insanely satisfying, especially in co-op, to just go in a crowd of enemies, especially Felicia Final Phase, and just using the ability. And then you force choke all enemies in your 360 view, and then you throw them aside. And if you still have like a pole or a heroic might, you always use that after to get a few extra kills. He's way better at trooper modes, but he's still very strong in hero modes as well. Following Anakin Skywalker, number 4, we have his son, Luke Skywalker. Who I think is just a little bit better than Anakin. This is probably the closest. 4 and 5 is probably the closest out of all of them. I think Luke is the best saber hero in the game, besides Vader, but for light side he is. He does great in both trooper and hero modes. He has great ability kit, being the force push that he could use midair, which is really strong. His repulse, which is even stronger with the Epicenter star card. Epicenter is really good in duels. Don't really use it in troopers, but Epicenter is really good in HAB. He has a dash too. His dash is really good. I think he's the fastest saber hero in the game. He's definitely for the light side, but I think he is for the whole game. I'm not too sure. I think he could beat Maul. You could run a marathon with the dude. Luke's one flaw, and it's, he has really weak health regen. It's really poor. And because Luke is much more aggressive, you have to be more careful with how you play because he can lose a lot of health. But, a good Luke will be a good Luke. You don't really have to worry much. Now we're on our top 3. Now I think this might be my most controversial. I think this is more controversial than Rey. If you've been paying attention, if you've even watched this far, you've noticed I have not ranked Boba Fett at all, and I think I know for a fact. A lot of people would have ranked Boba Fett not even in the single digits, but in the double digits, even in the 20s. I think not a lot of people like Boba Fett, but I have a lot to say about Boba Fett. I love the guy. I love Boba Fett. I'm a Boba Fett main. I think if not a lot of people like him because he's either really bad, people are really bad with using him, he may be even hard, or he's really annoying to fight, which he is. I am very annoying to fight, I'll be honest. It's still my opinion. This is my ranking. He's number 3. Out of all the villain blasters, I think he could actually sorry, I had a burp there. He's like the easiest hero to use to go toe to toe with another lightsaber and win. His abilities are amazing. I love his abilities. His rocket barrage being insanely good with dealing damage, loads of damage, and his concussion missile being great at disabling blasters, especially a Han or a Chewie, because those can mess you up. Blinding players, which that's probably the weakest. I've never really been bothered about being blind. I can still see name tags. As long as I can see name tags, that's fine. But it can slow people down. Where they can't run, they can only walk, which is pretty good. His best ability is definitely for the Haunt, which gives Boba a permanent use for his jetpack and reveals enemies for his whole team for a short period. Pretty good, right? I'd argue really good ability kit, way better than others. And of course, they get better with star cards. Honestly, all of his star cards are good. I don't think there's a single bad one. I have a hard time with figuring out which ones to use. It's either there's star cards that make his jetpack last longer. There's star cards that make his abilities go faster. There's star cards that make his rocket barrage even better. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of both. Sometimes I'm like, what? I want more jetpack. You know what? Sometimes I just want my abilities to just be super fast. I could use them a lot. Which if you want to use that, you use one ability, which I don't know the names of them right now, but there's one ability that makes your fuel burn slower. There's one ability where when you're not using your jetpack, it regains fuel much faster, and then there's the third ability, third star card, where if you hit um, with a purple, you hit two enemies with a concussion missile, it will give you permanent jetpack fuel for 6 seconds. So that I would say that's the kit to use for like very long jetpack use. Very good. Um, he can easily die though. You know, I'm very good with him. But a good Han, Chewie, Anakin, or even Lando can mess a Boba Fett up. Um, he definitely takes some skill. You know, for me, dodging in midair to block force attacks is probably the hardest thing to master. But once you do, you feel like unstoppable. You really do. Boba Fett does have the worst health in the whole game. He has 600 base, which objectively that is the worst. There is other heroes that have 600 as well, but his health regen is horrendous. It's awful. But, you know, another reason why he takes a lot of skill, right? Let's be honest there. His blaster, EE3, is one of the best in the game. It melts. It's, you know, being a burst weapon, it does lots of damage really quickly. There's definitely a reason why he's a very few bounty hunter, right? He does way better in outdoor maps, but he can be okay in indoor maps too. Jabba's Palace, I think he can do really good. His rocket barrage can be pretty deadly there. Especially since there's not a lot of room where they could go. You know, especially if you're targeting a hero in there. If we're talking trooper modes, he does good. Not as good as hero modes, but trooper modes he can do good. You just have to be way more safe, and it definitely takes a lot of skill for trooper modes because from my experience, a Wookiee warrior could mess up a Chewie as well. It's a miniature Chewbacca because you get shot by that thing, you get flown out of the sky, and you hit the ground. God knows what's there to hit you and kill you instantly with your shit health. But, you know, as long as you keep that in mind and you keep an eye out for those guys, you'll be okay. At the end of the day, I love Boba Fett. He's an amazing hero. He's so fun to play. And, you know, if you hate the guy, that's fine. But you have to admit, he is fun as hell to play. He's so fun. Now we reached our top two. It's pretty easy to know who they are. Number 2 is Han Solo. And process of elimination, I think you all know who number 1 is, but let's talk about Han first. I think he's the best blaster in the whole game. Way better than Boba Fett. You know, I love Boba Fett more than Han, but I think Han is objectively way better. Not even close. He can go toe-to-toe with any Darkseid hero and win. His ability kit is very good. Let's talk about his blaster, DL-44. It's the best blaster in the game. You know, its damage is good, its rate of fire is good, and its rage is good. His detonate charge is his best ability. It could be used in the air. It could do more damage in the air with the star card. It goes through blocks and knocks down an enemy. Also a great way to get a few shots off. You get headshots, oh, they're done. You know, they might retreat a little bit and regen. Hope it's a hero with really bad regen, right? His shoulder charge also knocks down. A little more difficult to use because you can't obviously use it during a block or something. But the fact that it can knock down and it can be used is really good. It's also really good mobility, you know. His middle ability, where it's like his fast shot or whatever, is good for like dealing damage to like a Palpatine or a Phasma. I wouldn't really use it I wouldn't use it wow, what the hell? I wouldn't use it against a Saber hero. It's kind of a waste. But I mean, it's still okay. You know, it gets the job done, right? Just the cherry on top, he has a star card that gives him a third dodge, which is like a Mustang HVB. You know, you go toe to toe with like a Grievous. What you do is you detonate charge. He's knocked down. Then you hit him a few times, and then you shoulder charge him. You hope you knock him down, but if you don't, that's okay. You try to get a few shots on him. He tries to attack you. You dodge behind him, get a few shots off, dodge behind him again and again. It's great. Han is just one of those where it's like, wow, you know, you could actually fight a Vader. I would say like a Yoda, a Han, and Anakin are the three best to fight against Vader. I know, it's crazy. But speaking of Vader, number one is, the best hero in all of Battlefront 2 goes the Dark Lord himself, Darth Vader. It almost frustrates me how Darth Vader is literally good at anything. Like, any situation you put Vader in, he will do good in. I think before EA completely abandoned the game in 2020 with the Scarif update, they should have nerfed Vader just a little bit. He's insanely good at ability kit. His force choke. God forbid you get caught in one of these force chokes. Because if you do, pray he doesn't have his lightsaber throw. And if he does have his lightsaber throw, you can kiss more than half of your health away, right? Speaking of his lightsaber throw, it's very good. That's all I have to say about it. It's a mall, but better. His best ability is his middle ability, which reduces stamina and deals more damage and gets more health. He gets more health, because an already OP hero needs more health. So reason why a lot of duels have rules again where Vader can't be carded because he's just that OP. But I think if that's a rule where a certain hero can't have any cards, then that just it's too strong. It's ridiculous, right? But Anakin at launch was still more powerful. But the Anakin at launch that lasted like what, a week or 2 weeks. Which that's like saying an ant is stronger than a beetle. It's ridiculous. Anyways, Vader definitely deserves number one. You can't even make an argument for anyone else to be better. I literally don't think you can make an argument. It's like Han is like, let's say Han is like a 9 out of 10 here, right? He's a 9 out of 10. Han is like or Vader's like a 15. It's a 6 difference. It's ridiculous. That's pretty much it. If you guys want to see more Battlefront rankings, I'd love to do more. I'm thinking about doing a blaster ranking video, since there are about 42 blasters, I'm pretty sure, including the reinforcements of the heroes. Infantry alone, it's 20. But thank you guys for watching, especially for the 1,000. That's crazy to hit 1,000. That's a milestone I never thought in a million years, in a million light years, I'd reach. But the fact that I did is impressive. It's most impressive. And always, may the force be with you guys. Always. Thank you guys.